yeah, yesterday, really late showing. Not really late, but by the time I got out and got home and everything, obviously saw Captain America 2, Winter Soldier. I don't know why I thought I was going to say a totally different movie title. Anyway, I think I wrote on my Tumblr this morning, I wrote Captain America 2, Shield, Boogaloo. It might as well have been. Anyway, sorry, stare at my phone. Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I definitely did. I'm not gonna go into spoilers until a little later on. I'll do the cutoff thing. Yeah, I saw it in 3D, and I didn't want to see it in 3D, but I only saw it in 3D, because time-wise with my scheduling, because I had just gotten out of work, whatever not, and location of theaters and stuff, so I was like, fine, I'll bite the bullet, see it in 3D. It's not necessary in 3D, like, to be frank about it, it is not, because, you know, I don't think it was shot in 3D just the way I was, because it was either the theater, or really how it was is that, and I noticed this a lot of times with some movies that you can tell it just doesn't need 3D, is when, like, the two cameras, you know, like the two, you know, images, how they're supposed to be at a certain distance from each other, and so when you put on the glasses, you know, the 3-dimension happens, but it's like you have the glasses on, and, like, when I'm watching a movie, I kind of have this, like, I'm judging you thing, where I sit kind of, like, off to the side, like, sometimes my head's tilted, or, like, whatever. So, I actually thought, like, it was probably because, you know, I'm not actually correctly aligned with it. So I'm like, oh, and I'm like, you know, I have to do, like, those kind of things, like, then I just kind of, like, look, and it's like, yeah, because what you're, you know, when you look at it, if you kind of look left and right and stuff, well, obviously with the big Kanye glasses on, it's supposed to be fine, but it's like, if you look directly in the center, it's fine, but if you look slightly off to any side part of, you know, the movie, you just get that, like, blurred kind of thing, but yeah, and also, I was starting to get motion sickness, like, and it's rare I get motion sickness, and I've seen a lot of these, like, 3D movies and all that stuff. This is not a new thing, I had to, like, take off both sets of glasses, like, take a breather, stare at the bright, blurry screen, clean off the glasses, and put them back on, because, yeah, a lot of the action scenes, you know, like, it's action, and then it's like, boom, 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 fight, 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 and then it's like, shaky cam, shaky cam, shaky cam, and I'm like, rah, rah, and your brain is trying to, like, understand what's going on, and it's making it worse, and trying to overcompensate, and you're like, oh. Plus, I also ate some good-ass food before that. Oh my god. Oh, it was so good. To the point where I got kind of angry that the food was that good. Had an Arsenio Hall moment, you know, when she told me the cheese was so damn good. Yeah, and then knowing that it's a lot of times in these theaters, you queue to then go upstairs to queue. Well, of course, me being the paranoid bitch that I always am, I decided to run up the escalators. Now, normally, I know I'm not in the best of shape, but running doesn't wind me. But I also just ate, and I was fucking full. And while the first queue was moving, I still had like a you know, shake with me. I was like, oh wait, I can't bring, you know, things in there, so I'm like, and like before I handed my ticket to Chick, I just like threw it away, and I'm like, alright, take it. You know, and then I'm like, yay! And then I was just like, oh, there's all this space in the escalator. We're gonna round up the fucking escalator. Anyway, this has nothing to do with the movie right now, I just realized. Should have opened my notebook to the page. I'm just so I haven't done a movie review in so long. Like, one that I just went to... See, I can't even get to the page fast enough. Yeah, not like an actual... Sorry. Like, review. This is, you know... What was the last one I went to go see? Jesus Christ. I think it was... Oh my god. I'm thinking about... I'm like, is it The Hobbit with Philip? Oh my lord. Jesus. Well, anyway, so, obviously if you see in the commercial, it's the Winter Soldier, it's not really a spoiler, because by now you should know that's Bucky. So, yeah. That happens, and goddamn, I have to say, just to kind of fangirl, he looks fucking good with the Winter Soldier thing. The whole tactical gear with the mask and the, you know, guy liner, you know, and the sexy knife play. Anyway. Yeah, the movie was good, and it's like, if you've been following the show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's kind of like the chaos that's been ensuing, you know, like it was bound to happen because a lot of shit with S.H.I.E.L.D. was happening, and, you know, and again, with the trailer, you can tell, like, there's some kind of fight and betrayal shit happening. It's hard to talk about a movie without just blurting out spoilers, especially if you mention one factoid, it's another kind of thing. Falcon, fucking awesome. The fucking Robo-Wings are fucking awesome, and I can't wait to see, like, what Toys R Us or Target, like, their Halloween version of that is. Like, is there gonna be that? Is it gonna be, be plastic things that shoot out? Or is it just gonna be, like, or, like, these little kids gonna be wearing a backpack with these, like, silly little, like, wings? I don't know. Yeah. When I heard he was gonna be in this one, I was like, oh, there's gonna be Falcon! You know? Just to nerd out some more. You know, as usual, because, you know, Steve Rogers is, I think they actually said in the movie, like, 95 now, if you really count it that way. Yeah, so he, is trying to catch up on a lot of things. And he, like, there's one part where he, like, opens up a notebook. He's like, oh, let me, add that to my list. And it's like, it said, like, Thai food, Rocky 2, like, you know, in parentheses. Like, stuff like that, like, things that he's like, he should just, like, oh, people are suggesting things, okay, you know, it's cute, it's, you know, of course, the hand gestures, the, you know, the running gag, obviously, because, all that stuff, just turn off the video, but, yeah, so, I did enjoy Captain America 2 Electric Boogaloo. There's a scene after the main credit sequence, like, you know, the colorful After Effects credit sequence, and then the long credit sequence, there's something after that. Just kind of like in Thor 2. I still feel that Thor 2 felt like more like a filler movie. Like, alright, we're just gonna have to tell you what him and Loki have been doing. Like, that kind of thing. This one I was more engaged in it. I found myself just kind of like, ooh, stuff's happening, rather than like, okay, what's the next kind of gag that's happening, you know, that kind of stuff. Again, like, I enjoyed Thor 2, but it sounds kind of mean, but I felt like an episode, at least 3 to 4 episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. could have probably covered it, even though technically that would have been longer than the movie itself, but you get what I mean. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about this movie with spoilers now, and see. Okay, so, first of all, Gary Shandling needs to fucking lay off the goddamn Botox, because when he showed up on camera, I was like, oh, it's like when I saw him in, what was that, Iron Man 2 or something, and he's just like this, and it's like lip, he's like, ooh, can't breathe for a second. It's horrible, like, man, just stop, like, you're not supposed to look like that, you're making Mickey Rourke look, like, normal, Jesus, bro. Yeah, so there's that, but, okay, so, this is spoilers as you've seen the movie or not, so, it starts off with, like, a mission they have to, go on, like, a ship to save people, well, it's a S.H.I.E.L.D. ship, and pirates and blah, blah, and, George St. Pierre, UFC fighter, is one of the big bad guys, which I do like that they did. I really like that they had, like, someone who's, like, you know, like an athlete, you know, UFC, like an MMA fighter, in the scene, kind of fighting Captain America. It's also, like, kind of like when you shoot things like this, when he was fighting against, the Captain, it was very, like, not static shot, but it was just, they didn't have to, like, do a bunch of quick cuts, because it was all him, you know? He's doing all these kicks, he's doing all these flips and tumbles and all that stuff, it's all him. So it's not like we have to, you know, change angles or, like, move it quickly so you can't tell if that's a stump double, stump double, or the actor or actress, you know, that kind of stuff. So I did enjoy that you were actually able to, like, sit there and watch this scene of, like, him just kind of like, Captain kind of dodging him just, like, doing all this crazy shit, you know, and you could tell, like, even when he, like, flew back, all that stuff, that it was him, you know, doing the stunt, and in that kind of stuff, it's more enjoyable. It's kind of like, you know, how like Jackie Chan's films and stuff. It's all him and his people. So like the fights, the hits seem more real. Robert Redford's in the movie. We all know that. And I love how I went to go see with Paul. I like that he was surprised that he was you know, was a bad guy. And it's like, really, you know, like random new guy introduced to this movie who we've never met before, who is a powerful dude, is gonna like stab you in the back. Oh god, totally was surprised that was gonna happen. It was funny because when you see his character, he's talking to a bunch of other like leaders of the world, and they're all like on these little like hologram kind of things. They kind of did look like the Star Wars holograms, you know. And it's funny how, like, it went from, I think in Avengers, it was like the dark room with the screen of people, very Minority Report looking kind of thing, to like these modules, this Island Earth kind of modules, where they still put a chair there, so I guess it doesn't seem weird that like this hologram is sitting on nothing. Like, it's that kind of part, I was like, did he really need the chairs there? Or was that really confusing you, thinking that first of all, holograms that you're speaking to are just kind of like looking like I'm just floating in the air. I don't know. That's just me nitpicking and just being an ass. Like, it doesn't deter me from like enjoying the movie. Again, it was the 3D that made me just go, oh, Jesus. So yeah, of course, like I said, Robert Redford, backstabbing, yada yada. Turns out, S.H.I.E.L.D., like, you know, we're supposed to be the good guys, actually, this whole time, like, it's Hydra, and you're like, Gah! You know? Like, oh shit, the people who have been doing good have actually been fueled by evil. Which, in a way, it's kind of like, in a way, you could kind of see it coming, because it's the whole, like, you know, that line, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. When you find yourself with great power, you're like, you just want more power kind of thing. And again, as you saw with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., there's a lot of betrayal within the system. So, again, if you see it and then you kind of watch this movie, you kind of figure it's gonna happen. And then when the new episode airs, like, Tuesday, it's gonna kind of continue on with the story of you can't trust anyone. And there was a part that was kind of like, you know, social commentary on currently how America is, because Nick Fury was showing Steve Rogers like these new ships that they don't have to like ever land because of whatever dark awesomeness, that they're just gonna hover over the Earth, and if they could, like, from a bajillion miles away, we're gonna say bajillion, they could take down a target before they become even more of a threat. And, you know, Rogers is like, so don't we usually punish someone after the crime? And he's like, well, we don't have time for that. You know, and again, to bring up Minority Report, it's like, yeah. And then he was saying how, you know, like, you know, for freedom, yada yada. And then Rogers is like, well, this isn't, like, about protecting our freedom. He's like, you know, back in the day when I did, yeah, we sacrificed a lot for our freedom and stuff. He's like, now this isn't just protection. He's like, now this is fear. This is a fear tactic. Which I feel like, you know, like a social commentary about how the you know, United States are, because, you know, we want to protect, you know, our rights by having less of them, and then scaring you into believing that this is going to happen, you know. So, when I heard that, I was just like, God bless America. Yeah, so, because of the betrayal and the S.H.I.E.L.D. shit, and people, you know, just being assholes. And again, you see it in the trailer where Steve is in the elevator, and he's like surrounded by like 20 dudes, or however you could really fit in a big ass elevator like that, and then he has to like kick all their asses. So you kind of see it coming. But here's the part where, again, like I love Paul, love him, he's a great friend, but God, he's a little derp on this one. So of course, Fury gets taken down, like, which this part I kind of felt like, I kind of was like making that face, you know, it was a joke, because he was, you know, he's in like this armored car, it's a S.H.I.E.L.D. vehicle, and there's, police looking at him, and he goes, oh, you want to see my lease? And, you know, there's that joke, the race joke kind of thing, but then all of a sudden, like, all these cops start shooting at him, and, you know, try to take him down and all that stuff. And then there was kind of like, in a sense, a standoff where they're all just like standing, just shooting at his car, and of course it's armored, yada yada. And like I just felt like that because it was just like, again, like I don't know if this was purposely supposed to be social commentary or just how the scene, played out and it just ended up looking like it, where you kind of look at it, it's like there is an unarmed black guy in a car, even though the car's armored. Like, there's this random black guy in a car. And then a bunch of white dudes shooting at him. I was like, I think there was probably one or two black cops shooting at it, but that's not the point. Like, I just had that, like kind of cringe moment, like, oh god, I think it just so happens that the extras they got to play the cops all end up being that. And it's like, I don't think this was part of the thing. I don't think it's like the fear tactic statement he made. I don't think that was kind of one of those keynote things. This was just, coincidence, but it just made me kind of go for a second to be like, come on, it's not cool. Not saying what they did, it's just kind of like what really happens in the world when that happens. You're just like, fuck, Anyway, due to that, the Winter Soldier, like, blows up, like, flips, Nick Fury's car and all that shit. So, at the, because he's all battered and bruised and he escapes, but he's just still kind of, like, fucked. Everyone meets up at the hospital, and, Maria Hill, not even gonna try her real name. Maria Hill shows up, which is awesome. And so and then Black Widow and Captain are watching, Nick Fury, and he dies. And Paul is like, oh my god, he's dead, I'm upset, it better be a clone. And then I looked at him, like, I literally just took my eyes off the screen, looked at his black ass, and went and said, if Coulson came back from the dead after being stabbed, I think he'll be fine after he got shot. Just to kind of, if we want to, and if you've been following the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. thing, he wasn't just dead for like a couple minutes, he was dead for days, so, it's one of those things, like, if he really died, blah, 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 later it turns out, he was injected with a serum that, Bruce Banner made, just to that slows your heart rate down to 1 beats per minute, that kind of stuff. The whole, like, you have to fake your death to, survive kind of thing. So, that was fine, so there's one part where Steve goes into, like, the Smithsonian, the Smithsonian, I can't speak today, and I knew the voice sounded familiar. That was, like, kind of in the Captain America exhibit. When I was looking at the credits, it's Gary Sinise, which I'm like, that's awesome. Anyway, so Captain America goes to the Captain America exhibit. So he's looking at all this stuff, and there's like a wall thing that's about like Bucky and all this stuff, and he's kind of like, oh my god, this isn't that. And it was actually a smart exposition scene, because it's like you got the overhead voice, like the narrator thing, just saying like Captain America fought all this stuff, blah blah. To kind of just like bring back, like, remember what happened in the first movie kind of thing. It has been a couple of years, so that kind of shit. What do you call it? Yeah, so that was good. And then and then you find out that Peggy is still alive. She's just obviously really old, because, like he said, if he's 95, she's probably, like, let's just say the same age. And he goes, I guess, to some old folks home or something to visit her, and she's like, oh my god, like, everything's fine, and he's like, blah, blah, blah. And, like, she kind of starts coughing, and then it's like really sad, because, she has Alzheimer's, so she sees him, it's like, Steve, you came back, and you're like, oh, god. I was watching, like, when you see her, of course she's all in, like, the old makeup and stuff. First of all, great, old makeup, it's great. It doesn't look like in Prometheus, where it looked like the guys from Jackass, that kind of makeup, like, this is obviously a young person underneath here. It's really good, but then also, it does the whole, like, tugs your heartstring, and it makes you have feels. I actually just went, like, it made me happy to be like, okay, at least he gets to, like, talk to her. He didn't lose her forever, but then it got really, upsetting when she completely forgot that she was already having a conversation with him, and kind of starts the conversation again, and I was just like, oh, you're old, oh, Yeah, that part, like, it kind of was like you got to have closure with those characters, you know, that he always has her, and even though she might not remember, you know, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, you know, compromise, yada yada, those big ship thingies that can shoot anyone from a bajillion miles away. They're about to lock on like, what was it? So, they were like, 7 billion people in the world, but we're going to kill 20 million, 200 million, like, obviously a substantial amount of people, to save the other, you know, like, that kind of stuff. And so, when it was, like, honing in on all the people, so it was honing in on the president, it showed Stark Tower in New York, but it actually looked like Avengers Tower because it was the A instead of the Stark thingy. But, you know, honed in on him. And then it went really fast. Like, a couple points, like, they slowed it down a bit, like where they mentioned it's the president. So I think some Secretary of State, like some, you know, other big political person, you could tell obviously Stark Tower. And I'm not sure if they wanted to, like, kill, you know, well, like, you know, Hawkeye at all. I couldn't see. I wasn't fast enough to look. But a lot of it was like Agent this or like Corporal blah blah blah. You know, like a lot of big, you know, blah, 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 big names and all that stuff. So it went really fast and all that stuff. Obviously, duh, they saved the day and shit like that. Like you feel bad for Bucky. Because when Steve finds out it's him, he's like, Bucky, and then he goes, who the hell is Bucky? And then, of course, like, the memories come back, and they have to, like, electroshock it out of him, and you're just kind of like, oh, poor guy, you know? And then, like, in the end, when, like, all the killing ships go down, and then, you know, when Bucky decides to actually, like, when Steve goes in the water and he's unconscious, Bucky actually saves him, kind of thing, because he, like, in his brain, he still knows. You know, that's his friend kind of thing. You know, which is, you know, obviously, you want it to be, like, loving and sweet. You want him to be like, I don't want to fight you, you're my friend, you're my bro, you know, that kind of stuff. It's so stupid. I find it funny that they went to, like, the Apple store to plug in, like, this special, like, Shield USB that's, like, this big. It probably holds, like, 400 like, not 400 like, just 400 oh my gods. That's what I put in there. And they're, like, running the program. I just found it really funny, of all places. They were, like, the Apple store. I'm like, God, it's so easy to be at the Apple store and, you know, accessing files, important things happening. It was just funny. And, of course, they had a mall of all things, and, yeah, it's silly. And, and you find that little Truman Capote kind of guy who's supposed to be dead, well, his brain is alive, that kind of stuff. Yeah, just, you find out that kind of stuff. I'm like, that, the exposition scenes happen. Yeah, I kind of wish that Hawkeye made an appearance, besides the fact, you know, Jeremy Renner. It's just that I'm like, poor guy, like, his character in these series, like, you see him in Thor for, like, a couple seconds. He's in Avengers, that entire movie, he's in that movie for like, if you count, like, 18 minutes on screen, that kind of shit. God, poor guy. But we know he's filming for Ages of Ultron, because again, I can still speak very well. Yeah, just, anyway, so, moving to the credit sequence, like after the After Effects credit sequence. So, these people are talking, I can't think of who it is, that's not happening. And they're like, we're gonna go after, you know, we're the bad guys, we're gonna go after the good guys kind of thing. And then they're like, they haven't met the twins yet. And of course you see freaking Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, which I knew that they obviously were gonna introduce them somehow, but I still kind of gasped like a dumb bitch. Like when they show them and like, you see Quicksilver just like freaking out in his cell, and then Scarlet Witch is just kind of like, I felt like that was the noise that was coming out of her. And she was, you know, there is no spoon, like, thing happening. Just kept talking about the Matrix. What the fuck is wrong with me? Anyway. Her, you know, you see them, and you're like, oh my god, that's so cool. And then it's like end, and then like full credit sequence. Which, okay. these Marvel movies have been going on for a while. Like, a long while. I don't understand why people still leave the theater. Now, for people who are like, well, I could just watch it online, I'm like, that's not the point, you know? Like, these tickets were like, you know, these tickets aren't cheap. They're almost $20 for 3D. You know, just sit for like 2 extra seconds. Like, dude, I had to pee like fuck, but I was like, no, I'm gonna sit through this, you know? It's worth it. It's like when we went to go see Iron Man 3 and IMAX 3D. That actually was pretty good with the 3D and stuff. People were getting up and leaving, and all of us were just like, are you fucking kidding me? But anyway. So after the full sequence, you see the Smithsonian Captain America exhibit again. Then you see the Bucky wall, and you kind of guess what happens. Bucky's there dressed as, you know, civilian. You know, the usual, like, I have a coat on and a hat, and I am not who you think I am. I am Cornholio. This is what's happening. You know, it's like in the Ninja Turtle movies where Ralph just puts on a fedora and a trench coat. You're like, it's just a dude, right? It's a regular dude. Looks like a giant turtle. Yeah, so he's like looking at, like, he obviously sees his own face, and he's like reading the wall, and he just has like that moment of like, oh my god, you know. So of course, yeah, they're most likely gonna do more with that, which is fine, you know. I enjoyed this movie. The action scenes were really fucking awesome. There were lots of ass kickery. Sam Jackson was awesome as Sam Jackson. He just plays Sam Jackson. You know, like, I did like it a lot, you know. Again, some of the things were kind of cheesy, kind of campy, but, you know, it's Marvel. Marvel has campy times, you know, with their things. For fuck's sakes, in Thor, there was so much camp in it at one point, I was like, okay. But it worked, you know, it worked, so it's fine. It's not, like, annoying campy, you know. Anyway, yeah, I would say go see it, but just not in 3D. I can't imagine how it will. I bet in IMAX it looks good, but I'm not sure with IMAX 3D. Again, maybe because I went to go see it in a regular theater, and maybe the tectonic plates were shifting, you know, on mine, and maybe the other one was a little bit better, but I don't know. I would still say just keep with the 2D. God. Anyway, onto the trailers. I'll try to make this as quick as possible. Let's start, you know, Expendables 3. I don't know why I keep thinking that an Expendables 4 is coming out, because I have a feeling Expendables 4 is going to come out. Because why not? Because we need dumb action films back again. But yeah, so, of course, Paul's, like, excited. And he's like, oh my god, yeah. And then the moment they show, like, Wesley Snipes, he starts freaking out there. He's like, yeah! Like, I don't know if he understands what an inner monologue is. Again, he's a great friend, but sometimes I'm just like, I don't know this guy. Like, oh my god. So, of course, Wesley Snipes comes out of, you know, was it federal prison or something, and he gets into an Expendables movie, which is fine, like, you know, you need him. And of course, Mel Gibson's in it, and, there's someone else. Who the fuck else is there? Oh my god, it's not coming to my mind. Anyway, it's Mel Gibson, Harrison Ford, that's it. Oh my god, wow, my camera just freaked when I did that. Yeah, and Harrison Ford, so it was just like, fuck it. Big ol' meathead movies, who cares, you know, no one's supposed to take this seriously. So then the next one was called Earth to Echo, and either I'm missing something, or like everyone in the theater kept calling it the E.T. movie. Everyone's like, phone home, everyone kept doing that. I was like, everyone's thinking this. What it looked like to me, because like it was like a gang of friends and they're just kind of like vlogging and stuff, like they're really young, like young teenagers, it just made me think of a more modernized version of Super 8. Alright. Just made me think of a more modernized version of Super 8, you know, which part of me was kind of upset, because I'm like, I really like Super 8, so don't do anything else, just stop, you know. After that was Lucy. Now, I had posted up the trailer, I think a couple days ago on my Tumblr, and I called it the unofficial Black Widow movie, which is great, because it's like, they put like a bag of drugs in her, and it burst, and it like caused her to pretty much like use close to 100% of like capacity of her brain, so she's able to like, you know, just, you know, whatever, God, what is wrong with me? Jesus. Read things really quickly, whatever science fiction thing you think of. So she's able to do all that stuff, which is fucking awesome. And again, it's like, I'm having more and more, like, love for Scarlett Johansson. So, yeah, that's fine. Then the 3D trailers were happening, and this is when I kept telling Paul, I was like, we're gonna have a busy summer. The X-Men trailer, which that actually looked really good in 3D. Again, it was just a trailer, so it could just be that they made the trailer look good, so I don't know. Then, of course, it's Spider-Man 2, but Spider-Man, the first one, was really, really nice in IMAX 3D, so hopefully if they shot it just as well as they did the first one, it'll look fine in 3D. Then it was Maleficent in 3D, which would be kind of awesome to see in 3D, you know. Not a big fan of Angelina Jolie. I don't hate her, I'm just not a big fan. But this is one of those, this role is you. Like, I can't imagine anyone else that could have that they would have at least considered playing Maleficent. Just because it's like, Angelina Jolie has that look to her, you know, like, you know, it's not, you know, her known lips, it's just, like, how her jawbone, like, her cheeks and all that stuff, and obviously, like, they really chisel her out more, but it's, like, because her eyes and, like, how she has, like, you know, that kind of look to, I don't know what I'm saying, but I just can't imagine, like, anyone else playing her unless it's, like, I don't know, like a really good drag queen, you know? I just can't think of anyone else. So then the last one was the Guardians of the Galaxy one, which, it's this trailer you've seen before, but now you get to see it in 3D, which is awesome, and fanboys are upset that, what's her name, Gamora, is more clothes. You know, instead of 95% naked, she's, like, you know, 10. No, it's not that fully clothed, but, you know, like, yeah, she's showing skin, like, her arms, like, maybe, like, in her vest thingy, there might be some cleave going on, but it's not that, like, fucking, like, V thing where it's, like, titties, and, like, this little bit's covered up, and my little cooch is covered up, you know. And then some of them are upset that, anyway, fuck that shit. Which that looks like a fun movie, you know, because it's the Guardians of the Galaxy, and you have to believe that there's a raccoon who, you know, shoots at stuff. So, you know, anyway, I need to sleep because like I said, I saw this movie really late. I didn't get home till almost like 2 or so, and then I had work the next day really early. I don't know how I was able to go through my work day without killing anyone. Anywho, go see Captain America 2, Shield Boogaloo. And yeah, hopefully I could keep doing this a lot better during the summer. But I got IMAX this Saturday, so bye!